Let us be a roadmap to community events and issues we face together. TheStandardNewspaper.ca, raising the standard in our community.
You're watching Rogers TV. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Welcome to Modern Business, the show that bridges the gap between viewer and entrepreneur. I'm your host, Taylor Bursey, and today I am joined by Moaeez Rehman from Real Broker. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm glad you're here. Tell me, how did you get into real estate? What's your why?
I wouldn't say it was a why. It's really not as dramatic as I want my answer to be ideally. I got into the business very accidentally. I was working into a sales job right after my high school period, and one of the clients from that sales job was a realtor. And I also believed what everybody else believes, that real estate's very easy. It's very glamorous. So I accidentally got recruited by him, and that's how I got in the business. The truth is, it gave me a massive slap of reality because it's not like that at all. So I actually got into business by accident.
By accident?
Yeah.
You just picked houses instead of cars or something else in that nature?
I think cars was definitely on the radar.
Okay.
Because as I got into sales, I got more comfortable being around individuals. Cars was definitely there because I have a passion for cars. But the individual who recruited me, he chose houses. I just kind of followed his footpath.
And did you do that because it was, quote, the easiest thing to do? Or did you think, okay, I have a little bit of a master plan?
Definitely no master plan. Very anticlimactic. I thought it would be the easiest route because it was courses that I could do privately. It's a couple $1,000s at that time to get your license, and it felt like it would be easy money. And I think everyone thinks that before they get into real estate. Very few people actually calculate the risks of it. So I didn't. I joined the business thinking it would be easy and that it would be easy money. It definitely wasn't, but that's originally what enticed me in the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine when you first started, it was a few houses a year, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, how am I going to make it?
Right.
So did you make a plan, or how did you figure you were going to make it?
Sure. So the first few months, I thought I was going to fail. And I had mentally prepped to actually leave the business because it wasn't what I thought it was, right? You have very zero guidance. You really don't understand the operating expenses of the business. Real estate, like any other business, has a massive overhead. And I didn't understand it. And every single month, as I'm trying to figure it out, I'm going through my savings. And because I didn't really plan for the business, I didn't have a calculated budget either. So for the first 5 to 6 months, I was 100% out. Everything I tried wasn't working, but I was also trying, I guess, methods that had worked for my mentor years ago. So gradually, I started putting that behind me and trying new stuff. And I started to find something that began to click for me, and that was mainly digital marketing at that time, still is. And I think 6 to 12 months later, after getting a couple of houses down, I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And after the first years when I really understood what to do to survive, and that was 5.5 years ago. So I thought I was gonna fail, but I guess I found my foot as I went through.
Wow. So you were about to bail out, and
was.
then all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, okay, I can make a plan and I can make it happen. But talk to us a little bit about what the initial overhead expenses were. What didn't you account for?
Sure. So every brokerage has an office split. And then when you also rent an office space within the brokerage, they have a rental cost for that. The biggest lap of reality was there needs to be a marketing budget, right? Everyone wants to get the real estate license, but everyone, including myself, also thinks that once you get your license, you put your hand up and everyone's dying to work with you, but they're not. They could care less, for that matter of fact. So I think marketing was the hardest part, and I started off very small. I started doing $100 a month. I could afford that. It was taking away the coffee budget and putting it towards ads. And then it went to a couple $1,000s a month. That was the operating cost, and I would say it's probably 2 or 3x that at this point.
Wow. So walk us through the digital marketing aspect of this. How did you get started in digital marketing? What was your path?
Sure.
Walk us through it.
Sure. I think as I was growing up, this is my early 20s, so I found myself on social media a lot. But then I also saw that a lot of other individuals are also spending a lot of time on social media. Once I studied the metrics, a lot of individuals were on social media, a lot, but a lot of real estate agents weren't. And then I went a little bit deeper into studying ad metrics. And back then, you could really niche down your ad categories, the type of demographic you want to target, the type of income you want to target. Back then, it was much easier. So I guess I saw a window of opportunity. And at that point, everyone around me was telling me that's going to be a waste of time. That social media is a waste of time. It's for youngsters just trying to get a little bit of clout, let's say, a little bit of exposure. And I guess when I saw everyone thinking that, it pushed me to it a little bit more. That's kind of how I am. If you tell me I can't do it, I have a chip now and I want to do it. So I saw that, and when it really clicked for me when people actually started consuming the content. I saw the views are racking up. Right? And in real estate videos, it's very different to, let's say, an influencer's content. Influencers get millions of views, right? If I get 100 views on my content or a video of some sort, to me, that's 100 conversations.
Right.
And I guess at that point, I learned that this is the best way to have 100 conversations. And then I just kept doubling down from there.
So when you first started with the digital marketing, was it all about the houses? You were just posting, I guess, aesthetic content about houses and getting leads that way? Or
Sure.
How did you start with your content?
Sure. Preliminary, the idea was to just remind my sphere of influence and the people around me that I sell real estate. So just posting houses for sale, when they sold, pictures of me actively working, all the clients I was helping, just to stay top of mind, right? Studies show that you have to be in front of someone 7 times for them to even potentially remember your name.
Wow.
And then a 7 other times to have a conversation with them. So in the beginning, it was just post, stay top of mind. Eventually, when I got comfortable with video, I started putting out educational content. How to buy a house, mistakes to avoid when buying a house, how to budget for a house, how does credit affect your mortgage? And that's when it really, I think, clicked. And that's when I would say some leads came in. I didn't get my first deal probably about a year until I was into social media. I think it took some time. Yeah, and even now I'll tell my team members that if you want to use social media as a pillar of yours to generate business, you're in for 6 to 12 months, guys. You might get lucky with 1 client beforehand, but that's luck. If you want results, it's 6 months of consistency. So I would say it took about 6 to 12 months of doing that before I saw some profitable results, let's say.
And so you've mentioned that in the beginning, you were basically posting to let your sphere of influence know that you were a real estate professional and that you wanted to be taken seriously as a real estate professional. Now there's been a shift. I would say that your content, now that you've moved forward, is the houses that you're selling, but also informational content on how to be a real estate agent or how to sell your house properly or how to work with a different real estate agent. So you kind of walk that fine line of being a, quote, influencer slash marketer, if you will. Do you find now that you've built up this brand that leads are coming to you and that you're able to convert a little bit easier because of that?
I'm flattered. I would like to be an influencer. I'm not there, at least in my mind, but the fact that you think so is flattering, so thank you. It helps, yes, but social media also recycles content very quickly. Right? Some of the content, more specifically on YouTube, is evergreen because it stays there forever. And then when people search it, if it matches their search tags, your content shows up. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, this content recycles every week. So if I'm not on top of it, I will get forgotten because now there's another new realtor trying to achieve the same results I am via digital media every single week. So I think I had probably about 6 months time where the content I had posted previously was still there. I was top of mind and I was beginning to get inbound calls. And a lot of the calls that were coming were from families that were unhappy with their current realtor. And they felt like, okay, Mo might be the one to help us get out of this. And then I realized that it just wasn't happening anymore and I had to just double down, triple down. So I think now I have to post nearly every day with different types of content to stay top of mind, to stay relevant, and to grow my audience. Otherwise, I'm losing that exposure to somebody else because these platforms are not saturated, but they're competitive now.
Right. And do you have a plan for each platform? So for YouTube versus Instagram versus Facebook, how much money you're going to spend in each avenue, how many times you're going to post? Do you have a strategy?
That's a good question. I do. YouTube is a beast in itself, and YouTube is a search algorithm connected with Google. So the content that goes on YouTube, my intention is to have it show up in results based off of what people are searching. Right, so if you wanted to buy a house, they say 95% of the home buyers start online. You would probably go to Google and search how to buy a house, houses for sale in Oshawa, Ajax. Those keywords are terms that are being searched hundreds of times every single month. So I have to cater my content to those terms if I want to succeed in YouTube. When it comes to Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, my strategy is now 3 posts at the minimum. And because I've been posting for so long, I think one has to be professional, one has to be educational, and one is just to be funny or personal to stay relevant. I like to show that I have a personal life now. People find that relatable, right? And if I have to go on camera and dance because the algorithm is pushing it, I will go on camera and dance because it keeps me relevant.
Spoken like a true influencer.
Thank you. Once again, thank you.
I am just teasing you. So would you say that the majority of your content and let's say your digital marketing is organic, or is the majority of it paid? How are you navigating that?
Originally, 80% of it was all organic because I didn't have the ad spend. Like many other individuals probably watching this are starting fresh, they may not have the ad spend. Now it's a bit of both. I think now for me to get my content to a bigger audience, I have to put money behind it. And Facebook's ad algorithms and demographics have changed substantially. They call it pay to play now. So if I want to grow on those platforms, I have to put an ad spend, but then organic also works. So a bit of both, really.
A beautiful blend.
Yeah.
Now, you keep saying I and we and this and strategy. Do you have a team behind you? Because this sounds like a lot of work.
Kind of. I say we, I, because it is us. Right? If you're selling a house, if you're buying a house, we are in it together. I'm there with you to represent you. In terms of team, I am solo for the most part. I do have help where needed. I have admin help, which allows me to delegate the stuff that puts me to my desk, but then I can go out and actively sell. And I get help with editing my videos. That was one thing that I used to do every single night by myself. And I would have very little time for family because I'm editing rather than being with my family. So delegating that has given me my evenings back, and the editor does so much better than I do. So I'm glad I gave it to him.
Was it tough to delegate that content to somebody else to edit? I feel like you'd be very attached to what you're producing.
You're absolutely right. It's like your baby. And it was hard, and I went through a lot of editors before it clicked. But when it clicked, he can do a better job than I could probably do because now he understands my vision. So it took some time to get there. One thing I'm not ready to delegate is my clientele. I'm not ready to give that up yet, and I'm not ready to give up my social media yet. I like having control over what I post, when I post it, how I post it, hashtags, captions, and all the engagement that I do. That part I know I'm gonna have to delegate one day, just not yet.
But your brand is you, so when you're delegating that and somebody else is doing it, is it still truly you?
I guess not, but if I do it correctly, hopefully people will find out.
And do you have a plan in the future to do it correctly?
No, I don't see myself doing that anytime soon. I'm attached to it, and I think my business went from being professional all the time to now making friends, right? And I think in the beginning, I couldn't make friends because I was young buck. I barely had facial hair, and then naturally people would presume that this kid may not be able to sell my house. So fighting that, I had to just be professional all the time. Now I try to relate with people. I like giving out compliments. It's who I am. And I think that's allowing me to better connect, and I can't delegate that. I can't delegate personality.
And on that note, we'll be right back.
Closed captioning is brought to you in part by Raven Reads. Unbox Indigenous voices. Subscribe today at ravenreads.org.
Welcome to the set of Modern Business. I'm your host, Taylor Bursey. And have you ever wondered what the story behind the business is? On this show, we'll be talking to young, up-and-coming entrepreneurs, market makers, and philanthropists, hearing the story behind their career journey and getting their trade tip. Join me exclusively on Rogers TV for Modern Business with Taylor Bursey.
I'm Eric Marchinosa's Cinema Scene in Review. Join me for a monthly movie roundup of new releases either in theaters or available to stream. See you next time in Review.
Hello, I'm Rob MacArthur, host and co-producer of Helping Durham Region. Join us as we shine the spotlight on Durham Region residents that are making a difference by helping other residents. That's Helping Durham Region, only on Rogers TV Durham.
Did you have fun? Check this out. It's nice, right?
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Modern Business. I am joined by Moaeez Rehman of Real Broker. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So we left off with you talking about how you create lots of content for your digital marketing. You create content to educate the consumer. You create content to talk about your listings. So you're putting a lot of content out into the world. How do you separate your personal content, so Moaeez the person, from Moaeez the real estate professional when your brand is you?
Sure. That's tricky. I think it's understanding that if you just keep posting professional content, if you just keep posting all your successes, it's also intimidating for a lot of families. And I didn't learn that till very recently in my career, that this image that I'm trying to portray, the professional who's ready to represent you, has a suit on all the time, is just ready to go to war for you, is intimidating for people sometimes. And because I'm having a personal life now, because I'm trying to find that balance, it's just making a cautious effort of, I guess, capturing it. So if I'm with my family, saying that I'm with my family. And now when I'm with my family, also put it in my voicemail that, hey, thanks for calling Moaeez. I'm sorry I missed your call. I'm just with my family. I'll get back to you in an hour's time. And no matter what I'm doing, whether it's at the beach, hanging out with my family, going on a vacation, I just capture it. And I just put it out there. I don't think twice about it. If this was like 4 or 5 years ago, I would hate to put that out there, because I would never want my followers to think I'm doing anything apart from selling real estate. But the idea is to show them that I also have a life and I'm just like you. The only difference is that I sell real estate, and that's it, right? So I think it took some trial and error, but just making a cautious effort to capture and post it all.
So there's really no balance. It's just all one.
Between personal life and
professional on social media.
No. I think on and off social media, good luck finding a balance. And the only reason that is because your schedule fluctuates. There are a lot of realtors who have found balance, and power to them. Because I like to be so hands-on with my clients that every client has a different time frame as to when they want to chat with you. I can't just block out a Sunday every single week, because what if that Sunday is the only day they can chat business, look at homes, and connect with you? Right. So I think my mindset is, and I got this advice from a relative, if he watches, and shout out to him, that think of your family time as a target. And every single week, I just have to try to hit it. So every time a new week starts and I have a rough understanding of my schedule, I'll message the wife, I'll message my mom and dad, I'll message my brother, I'll say, this is the day I'm free. If y'all are doing anything, can I pop by? Right? So every week is a new attempt to find a balance. And I guess in that attempt, somehow you find a bit of balance, but it's not like scheduled or regulated. Sometimes I'll go 2 to 4 weeks without finding any balance, and then I'll have to come back to it.
Wow. And you touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the question there,
sure.
Or your answer, I should say, the suit. Talk to me about the suit. In all of your marketing, I always
Sure.
see you in a 3-piece suit. Is that strategic?
No. Originally, it was enough to make me feel prepared. enough to make me feel like I was ready. And then that gave me the confidence to battle my social anxiety, to go up against some of the best real estate professionals that I would negotiate toe-to-toe with, head-to-head with, but then to also represent a family in one of their biggest financial transactions, if not the biggest financial transaction. So the suit just gave me, it was like my uniform. Once I had it on, once I was groomed, it would give me like the power to go to battle per se, right? And then some days you're negotiating 3 deals back to back. Some days you're fixing deals back to back, and it all happens last minute. I can never predict that on Tuesday something's gonna go wrong, so on Tuesday I'll wear the suit and I'll just slug it through the rest of the week, right? So I think it was just being prepared for every opportunity, and then now I've taken a bit of a step back to add a bit of, just, I guess, more comfortable clothing. But at the end of the day, suit or not, however you feel comfortable dressing, I think it is just mere respect to be groomed and well dressed in front of your clients, right? You have hired myself, my team, to represent you in a massive transaction. I should look like a realtor. I should be ready to represent you at any given part of the transaction well dressed. So I think originally it was just to give me my confidence. And now that I have a little bit of it, thanks to you, I think it's just to dress clean and tidy, let's call it.
I love that. Clearly you put a lot of thought into how you present yourself, how you market your business, and how you're going to market other people's homes. And I think people listening today, and maybe people that have seen your content, would think, wow, he must invest so heavily in his digital marketing and everything that he's doing. If I hire him, is that an upfront cost for me? So
Sure.
how does that costing work? Does it come out of your commission? Are you charging an extra fee for it? How does that
Sure.
happen?
That's actually a really good question. The marketing that goes behind every home, and every home has a specific ad spend. That cost is covered by the compensation that my company receives for that task to either buy or help you sell your home. I think it's actually a little unprofessional if you have to charge your client because it's your job. So I think every house, I would say at a minimum of $2,000, if it's a luxury home, it could be $5,000 to $10,000 a month that we have on the ad spend of that home, and that's 100% covered by me. And I think it has a bit of liability as well, because what if you clients change your mind? They don't want to sell the home, or circumstances change, that cost is now on you. But as a business owner, you have to understand that profit and loss. Every business has a loss statement. I'd be throwing a pity party if I said that, oh, it's the worst, I have to put it in my pocket. I think it's just standard. So it's covered out of my compensation.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great for people to know. And another thing that you do that's a little bit different from the rest, especially when it comes to social media, is when you sell these, let's say $10 million homes, or even in $1 million home, you tend to post your post-campaign metrics on
Sure.
social media. So
Sure.
how much the home sold for, how many clicks you got on that, what was your conversion rate, etc. Why did you decide to do that, the more case study format?
Right. Honestly, I'm flattered that you're watching my content. Thank you. A lot of people don't notice that. The idea behind case studies was I think it was 2-part. It was to help a family understand that you're thinking about selling your home, and the family that I just represented was just like you. They were just thinking about selling their home. And these guys were able to achieve the results, and here's the metric for it. They got 40 showings. They had 40,000 people every single week look at their content. We negotiated yay many offers, 8, 10, however many offers it is, and then we sold it for either asking, under asking, or over asking price, that it's all attainable for you as well. So the idea was to help them understand that it's possible for you, and just to kind of give them something to relate to, that this is where they want to get. I just helped the family get there. I can help them get there too. And then I also realized that as the count for real estate professionals is increasing substantially, we have so many realtors every single day that a lot of homeowners aren't getting the same service. And then posting the metrics will help them realize what to expect at the bare minimum. At the bare minimum, there should be a high quality video, high quality photo. There needs to be an ad spend every single week, because we're not in the market anymore where you put a for sale sign and your house sells. Market has changed. So you actually have to put an ad spend to sell a house, and a lot of consumers or homeowners don't know that. So I'm trying to share that message through the case studies.
Through the case studies and the education.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there that you would post if the house sold for below asking.
Sure.
That's not a strategy that people typically take, because
Sure.
wouldn't that be considered a fail?
No, not necessarily. Not in my eyes. I think I'm trying to share this message, and I guess I'll use this platform too.
Sure.
The listing price is merely a pricing strategy. Listing price does not mean market value. And if you price it below market value, you sell above asking price, it doesn't mean you sold above market value, you just sold above your pricing strategy, right? So selling under asking is totally normal. The idea is to sell for more than market value. That's the goal. So I do understand how it can have the wrong opinion, but not every home seller wants the stress to go through a bidding war. Bidding war means you're out of your house for 7 days. You have showings back to back to back. You have strangers in your house at all times. And not everybody wants that. Sometimes they just want to sell or showcase the home to consumers who are qualified, serious, and able to buy the house at market value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, talk to me a little bit about where you see your business going in the next few years. What's the future of Moaeez Rehman, the realtor?
Wow, I don't know. I do take it one step at a time. I'm unable to take a massive vision and then break it down. I have weekly goals, I have monthly goals, but every single week the goal is to grow, to help another family that I hadn't helped before, to continue to stay on top of digital marketing. It is changing so rapidly, and I'm only getting older, so I want to stay on top of that 100%. And I think at some point I'd like to just get a little bit more help so I have a little bit more freedom. But I think the one message or the one aim that I have is just to help as many families as I can and to do a really good job at it, because I hear so many horror stories, and that motivates me even more to help these families, so to find and help more families, I guess.
And would you say that that's your why as to why you're in real estate now?
Now, yes, yeah. At the beginning, I think it was very small that surviving in the business, or the why to keep me going through rejection after rejection, was just to pay the bills, just to make my car payment, to make my visa payment, and then to have enough to do marketing, and then to buy my clients their closing gifts. So that was the why in the beginning. After a while, you need something a little bit more to keep pushing you, because after a certain period of time, it takes a mental toll on you. Right? And burnout has been so frequent for me. So now that I've changed my why to not chase income, but to chase a result, it's a little bit more in my heart, because I'm an emotional guy, and that kind of drives me. And I think that's definitely the why now, just to help another family survive in their buy or sell transaction without failing. Right? And then one family at a time, change the overall perception of a realtor, which is kind of negative. So one family at a time, I just want to change that.
I love that. Now, do you have a trade tip for our audience today, a piece of advice that somebody's given you, or a piece of advice that you'd like to give someone else?
You're spot on with these questions. Tip. I can think of a few things. I'll just kind of quickly share them out. Do not sleep on your social media presence, because that is your online resume. You have an in-person presentation, you have a physical presentation. You should try to have an online presentation as well, because that is a resume not going forward. Don't chase the money, chase the result. Money will follow. And I think lastly is, everyone's heard the saying that people work with people they like. My belief is people also work with the best. So consistently work on improving your craft, work on your communication skills, understand how to balance emotions, and then be the go-to expert for your neighborhood. Know your schools, know the areas, know the house, just know everything, and become that one-stop shop for knowledge.
I love it. Moaeez, where can people find you?
Social media. Social media. You can take my first name, Moaeez Rehman. It's Moaeez, and then follow me everywhere. I'd appreciate that.
And what's your website?
Moaeezrehman.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. And that's been another edition of Modern Business. I'm your host, Taylor Bursey, and we'll be back next time.
call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hey, do you like movies? You know I do. That's why I see all of them. And if you want to know which ones you should see too, check out the latest Cinema Scene reviews and interviews. They're hot, fresh, and delicious, and they're online at rogerstv.com/cinemascene, popcorn not included. This offer is available everywhere. Tell your friends, be the first on your block to click rogerstv.com/cinemascene. It's so nice, we have to mention it twice.
You're watching Rogers TV.